universe of startups, vision is just the beginning. Our startup leaders share the lessons that build the future. Join the conversation.
Hey, I'm Vicky, and this is the Just Be Better podcast featuring our Startup Leaders Talk segment, where we dive into the minds of founders and execs shaping the startup ecosystem. If you're just listening and would rather see our faces, head over to our YouTube channel. We love it when you tune in. It not only helps the algorithm, but also makes our guests feel seen and heard. So without further ado, today's guest is Ivan Trufanov, a Forbes 30 Under 30 nominee, product leader, and CPTO at a venture-backed generative AI startup with over $5.6 million in annual revenue. Ivan has a proven track record of scaling teams, launching innovative products, and driving exponential growth in tech. Welcome, Ivan. It's so good to have you here today. Could you start by briefly introducing yourself to our audience, please?
Yeah, hi, Vicky. Thank you for inviting me. I'm an entrepreneur in AI sphere with some development background. I can say that I am a tech guy trying to make this world maybe a little bit better.
When you look through your career, obviously everyone has to start somewhere. What was the very first paid job you ever had in your career?
I think it was a freelance project when I was 16. Because it was boring for me to stay at home, and it was very fun experience because sometimes I had very interesting jobs. For example, hack some dating site.
And how do you think that very first job shaped your perspective about work in general?
I think maybe it was a seed to become kind of entrepreneur.
And you currently are a CPTO. What led you to your current path or venture, and what keeps you passionate about it, Ivan?
I like building products, and being a product and the tech guy allows me to realize ideas, and it's the reason why I work at this job.
And can you share a defining moment in your career that changed your perspective or direction in general?
I think it's hard for me to choose special point. It was pretty straightforward for me. It's I think that I can say that immigration from my home country was a time when I changed my perspective.
Do you mind elaborating a little bit, immigrating to the UK, or what do you mean by that?
It was a process because we decided just to move out from Russia, and we moved to Georgia. When we moved to Turkey, went back to Georgia, went back to Turkey because of visa stuff. And afterwards, we received our visa to the UK and finally moved. The process took, I think, 2 years, and during this process, I sold my first company and spent some time without work, just trying to understand what I'm doing, why. Do I want to go to another job, or do I want to make projects in IT or not? I think I had some time to think why I'm doing it and what's my values. I decided that, it fulfills me with joy to be inventor of some kind, and to invent new things and to bring new products to market. When I understood it, I understood that I want to continue this job.
You mentioned that you founded your company before and you have quite an unusual exit. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Basically, I founded a company with my partner, I think 8 years ago, and I sold it just after the war in Russia and Ukraine began. It was not a very successful exit because I sold it, with purpose to go out of the business, and it was not requiring of us as well company by some big strategic player. And it was I think tough experience because valuation was 10x lower than our original expectations from one side, and from our side it was hard because we spent 7 years creating this company, and it was our own small child, and the situation in market and in the world required us to sell it, and it was tough to just to accept that we need to finish the story at this point with conditions, and we need to do it to go forward.
I have a feeling my next question might be related to your answer as well. So what's the biggest challenge you faced and how did it influence your approach to work?
I think that it's starting from scratch in some way because, when you change your home country, you lose all your social capital and you need to build it from the ground up. And sometimes you feel like undergrad when you are 30 without any like stable relations, without any like strong network around. And sometimes it's tough. And I think like biggest challenge for now is just to build a network and some social capital around.
I think that's one of the hardest things to do in general, especially when you're adult. It's hard to make friends when you're a child, but when you're adult, have a work, have a life, and have to make money as well. To find those friends around you and that network is quite challenging in general.
Yep. And from our side, you have like some basic expectations in terms of quality of living and like your family, and you need to build all this stuff from the ground up. But still, you need to maintain like your usual quality of life, and it also takes some time and resources.
And you've been in tech your whole career, from what I understood. What strategies or habits helped you succeed in your role or business when you had one?
I can't say that like I'm already succeed. I think that I'm in process still. I think that it's important to just try to stay happy, even when it's tough times, because sometimes we focus on things that we have not got. Like contracts we failed, like opportunities we missed, but we have a lot of good stuff around. We have family, we have our achievements, and I think it's important to stay happy and positive.
And is happiness something that you bring into company's culture as well?
I think that usually in my daily life I'm skeptical, and sometimes I think that it's hard for me to bring joy to the company culture. But I try to work with it because I think that it's really important.
And so how would you describe your current company's culture in general, and how have you contributed to it, do you think?
I think that we are like 100% in startup mode, and we just try to build things very quickly. We are not afraid to fail sometimes. And I think that it's really important because it allows us to move very fast. And it's a thing that I've learned in this company, because our usual time to market is like 1 week from idea to already published feature. And sometimes we break things, but still we are able to deliver something in a week, and it's really important.
I think startups, and especially tech startups, definitely changes your perspective on a lot of different things, and speed is one of them, that's for sure.
Yeah, and like not being afraid to fail. Everybody don't like to fail.
It's needed, but it's not a nice feeling as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, technology nowadays is shifting very quickly and changing very quickly. You've been in tech your whole life. What trends or shifts in your industry are you most excited or concerned?
I think it's, of course, AI. I'm not in the part of people who think that AI will like, steal our jobs or like even replace junior programmers. I think that we are just in the beginning of process when creating of something will be available to much more people. And I think that like in 5 or 7 years, we will see much more startups built only by one founder, or by a team of 2 founders without any venture capital. And we will see products just went viral and built with help of AI without any hired people, without any external financing. And I think that it will make a better world for all of us, because we will see a lot of niche applications solving like very small problems which all of us have, but we are not as big to be solved with venture founded firms, but we will see like much more smaller entrepreneurs.
When you look through your whole career, you obviously been in the industry for quite a while, and you mentioned mistakes and failure yourself. What would you say is one mistake you've learned the most from in your career?
It's all about hiring good people and firing not as good people. I think that like the biggest mistake is not firing the bad people at the right time.
I can't remember the exact number, but I saw a statistic somewhere that one person that even though it's the most productive and the most efficient person in the team, if they have toxic environment for the rest of the team, the productivity of overall company goes down quite rapidly because of that one person.
Sometimes it's tricky because if you are a leader, a team try to be good with you, but sometimes we are not as good with other people around, and it's pretty hard to identify, but still, I think what we as leaders, we should believe our gut feeling. If we feel that something not right, 100% it's not right.
To finish the first part of our conversation, Ivan, what piece of advice you would give to someone just starting in your industry or your tech career?
Just build things as fast as possible. Just if you have an idea, go and build it. If you don't know programming, learn programming and build it. Spend like small amount of time as possible between your idea and some like first actions done to get it done.
I could not agree more with this. I have a very real example of where I waited for too long. And I had an idea like 3 years ago. And I spoke with one person, and that person was like, oh, I don't think you can feasibly make it. And I just kept pushing it and pushing. And then another company, exactly the same idea, came across. And they just raised 86 million in funding. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I literally, the way the whole company is set up and everything is exactly how I pitched it. And I just didn't believe in it enough probably to go for it. So I definitely resonate with your advice.
Yeah, it happens. And like, I believe that, if you start building something, maybe your original idea is not 100% right, but still, if you already started, you will figure it out somehow, how to pivot it, how to improve it. Like I honestly believe that it's important just to start. If you believe in something, just start and do it.
Perfect. So as you know, the second part of the interview is called Speedy Startup, where I have 20 questions. And then at the very end, I have one question that's been posed to you by my previous guest on the podcast. These questions are very short. You have about 30 seconds to answer each. Some of them is going to be yes or no. Others might need a little bit more of elaboration, but is not required. Are you ready for that one?
Yeah, sure.
It's fun time.
First question is, what's the worst interview question you ever heard in your life?
I think it was not a question. It was a guy who said that time management strategy invented by Da Vinci, that he sleeps 15 minutes each hour, and he needs a job which can fulfill 200 hours a month, and we're not as hardworking team for him. It was very unexpected.
I would not even know where to start with this. When it comes to working environment, remote, hybrid, or office-based?
Hybrid.
What's your favorite productivity hack or tool?
It's a habit to write important projects for me, and only one next important step for all of them, because it helps to understand what should I do now. Only one important thing for each project.
And what's the weirdest or the funniest job or project you ever had to work on?
I think what I mentioned it already. It was a freelance project to hack some dating site. It was very weird.
It's quite funny though.
Yeah.
I would love to see the results of that one. Then early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
If not your current role, what do you think you would be doing instead?
Building something. I don't know in which role, but building something.
Describe your company culture in one word.
Build.
What's the most overrated buzzword in business right now?
AI.
What's one thing you wish you could automate in your personal life?
Getting home stuff sorted.
What's your biggest work pet peeve?
Could you repeat, please?
What's your biggest work pet peeve? So what annoys you, the most small thing that annoys you in work?
I think that meetings focused on process, not on decision making.
What's the best perk you ever had at a job, or the best benefit you ever had at a job?
Media presence, ability to be in media.
What's most underrated skill in business?
I think that we say that we value it a lot, but we don't value it. It's just passion.
Who would play you in a movie about your career?
Timothée Chalamet.
That's a good choice. Should salary always be included in job ads? Yes or no?
I think yes, because it's just important not to spend your time on companies which can't afford you.
And you touched on this earlier, but hypothetically, what role will disappear first because of AI?
I think call centers.
What's the best one sentence advice you ever received yourself for your career?
I think that was just a question. If you're so smart, why have you not achieved your goals?
Finish the sentence. Startups are
incredibly hard, but fun.
What advice would you give someone considering working in a startup?
Get some money before working in a startup.
What's one mistake you think all first-time founders make?
I think that they always sacrifice themselves to the goal of building a company. But I think it's not a sustainable way. I think the founder must love himself, and the founder must make decisions from his own family and their own as person's perspective. Firstly, pay high salary to themselves when focus on building company and all that stuff. Because I think what if founder is not happy and has not enough money, it's a problem in the long term.
A question that has been posed by Tom Richardson, my previous guest on the podcast: who is the most inspiring person you've worked directly with, and what was so amazing about that person?
I think it was my co-founder in Bronivoy. His name is Alexander Dionov, and the reason why was because he is always getting things that he wants to get. It's like if he faces some troubles, he still continues to get it. And I think it was because of his background as a professional boxer, because he incredibly straightforward and hard in terms of getting things that he wants.
Perfect. And could you pose a question to my next guest? What would you like to know?
How to find balance between building a company and being happy?
That's an amazing question. Thank you for that. I'm filming my next episode actually in a couple of hours, so that's definitely coming in. Before we finish, Ivan, do you want to say anything to our guests? Do you want to share where people can connect you, or just in general leave a message for everyone?
First of all, thank you for your time listening for me. I hope that it was interesting and it's helped you somehow. I'm always available on my LinkedIn. You can find me. And just if you have any questions, feel free to ping me. I'm very happy to answer. Have a chat.
Perfect. And if you're happy with it, I will add your LinkedIn in the description below on when I post the video, so people actually can find you easier. But for now, thank you so much, Ivan. It was an absolute pleasure, and hopefully to get you back on another episode at some point in the future.
Thanks for being part of these journeys. Keep leading, keep building. See you next time. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your insights.